A Turner-nominated prize artist has launched an exhibition where the only artwork is a 10-tonne pile of rope. After spending months scouring the country for unwanted material to prove he could get money for old rope, crab pots and cruise liner mooring lines have been used to make the installation. I'm delighted to say that the artist behind the exhibition, David Shrigley, joins us now. David, great to talk to you today. Talk us through the inspiration behind your piece. Where did the idea come from?
Well, I guess the idea came from the aphorism, money for old rope, which we use when we're talking about a situation where we have some goods or a service that has no value to it, but which we are remunerated for. So, yeah, all this rope here. There are 4 giant piles, which amass to 10 tons. They're all redundant rope, so you can't use them for any purpose. Mooring rope, for example, if it's redundant, your cruise ship will float out to sea. Or if you're using climbing rope, you'll have a terrible injury if you use old rope. So there's a certain pathos to it, but I guess I just wanted to find out what happens if you a literal representation of a kind of saying, and figure it out from there. And
you said it's for sale for £1 million. Has anyone offered you the money for the old rope yet?
No concrete offers as yet, but lots of interest.
Well, that's positive. What was it like to work with the rope? I understand it was actually quite difficult because, of course, different widths, different weights, different states of the rope.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot about rope. I learned where to get it from and what it's made of. It's not very recyclable, old rope, as it turns out, which is why we were able to acquire quite a lot of it. Some of it is actually made from Kevlar, which is what you make body armor out of, and other stuff that you can't recycle. So if you want to know about old rope, I could probably tell you a lot.
Well, there you go. I didn't know Kevlar was involved. We can see there's a chap in the background looking at part of the exhibition behind you. What engagement are you hoping the public will have with it? What kind of responses are you hoping people might have?
Well, any response is a good response, I guess, in that, artwork is, or this kind of artwork at least, is a work in progress, and the conversation that you have about it becomes part of the work. So, yeah, you can't really anticipate how people respond to it, but the fact that they do respond to it is part of the privilege of making it.
What would you say to those critics, and they come out the woodwork every time we ever do a piece about any kind of modern art? Oh, anybody could do this. This isn't art. This is just a pile of rope. What would be your argument, your response to them?
Well, yeah, it is just a pile of rope, so you're dead right.
They're right.
I think that obviously there's an element of having a laugh about it in that I put the price of it in the press release. So that's eliciting a certain type of response from certain people. But there are some people that won't ever say anything positive. They'll always have a reactionary attitude towards contemporary art, and that's fine. That's to be expected. But art is for everybody, and it's for everybody to respond to it in the way that they want to.
You mentioned having a laugh. Humour is quite a big part of your work. I've followed your work for lots of years and been to quite a lot of your exhibitions, actually. Have to declare a bit of an interest here. But why humour? Why was that important to you when you were making art, to connect with people using that?
I think if you can make something comic and you can make people laugh, that's a good starting point. I think if people can laugh at a work, it means that they understand it, they have a point of access, and that's valuable. It's not to say that all art should be funny, because that would probably be quite tedious if it was, but I guess that's just part of the way that I view the world, and it's been quite successful. I think people respond to the work well because of the comedy.
And the fact that a lot of your work, a lot of your prints, for example, translate very well into being printed and hanging on people's walls in their homes. Has the fact that your work is quite accessible, do you think, helped you make a career out of art?
Yeah, I mean, I never had a strategy to be any particular kind of artist. I've made funny drawings since I was a tiny child, I guess. So I think I'm kind of lucky. I used to kind of avoid the conversation about being a kind of comic artist. I guess I used to try and I don't know. I kind of wanted to be profound in some way, but in more recent years, I've kind of realized that I personally need the comedy. I need to be able to laugh, and that's a gift if you can laugh, and if you can make other people laugh, then that's great too.
And often it's comedy, as you say, mixed with pathos, which is quite a heady combination sometimes, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, the fact that something's funny doesn't mean it contains a lot of other facets as well. And pathos is one of those in this case. But yeah, watching the news as I'm waiting to talk to you, it's quite you do need some comedy in your life because the rest of the world seems pretty grim. So yeah, I need to laugh and I need comedy part of the time anyway.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that one. When you think about the British art scene, you think back to the sort of Damon Hirst, Tracy Emin era when it was all this very British art scene. What's the art scene like at the moment? I mean, do you feel like you're part of a scene?
I think it's very difficult to identify the place that you occupy personally in the art scene. I mean, I'm just still happy that I've managed to make a living as an artist and that I get to spend all day in the studio and I don't have to have a job. That privilege is one that I always try to remember. I think the art scene in the UK is really positive. I mean, there are so many different forums to present work that there weren't when I was younger. I think the economic climate is very difficult for younger artists. They have to pay for their education, which I never had to. So, but nonetheless, there are, I think the art scene in the UK is as vibrant as it's ever been, in spite of the economic challenges.
So what would you say to a student who's at school now, perhaps doing their GCSEs or their A-levels, who's great at art, but thinking, what kind of career can I have? Because for every David Shrigley, there are hundreds and hundreds of others who haven't made it as artists. What would be your advice to those following in your footsteps?
Pursue your dreams. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do what you want to do, because I think if you want to pursue a creative career, you can. And you have to be resourceful in order to make a living. You may want to think carefully about how you want to pursue your studies as an artist, because that has a lot of financial implication to it. But don't be discouraged. You can have a career being a creative person. And if I can make a living exhibiting old rope, then kind of anyone can be an artist.
It's great advice, and especially if you get your £1 million for it. David Shrigley, pleasure to talk to you today. Thanks so much, and thanks for telling us a bit about your exhibition.